Before we talk about math, let's look at the story we see in this picture. In this picture, we see what appears to be a family, and it looks like they're in the middle of repainting. If you've ever done any painting or any other sort of renovating or fixing up in a home, you know that it can cost a lot of money. So sometimes people decide that they want to do the work themselves, like the people in this photo. One way that people decide if they just want to do the work themselves is based on how much it's going to cost. This family talked to a contractor, somebody who can do work inside of their house. And this is a list of the costs that the contractor gave them. New floors, bookshelves, closet organizers, kitchen cabinets, new furniture. Each of these items was going to cost a certain amount of money to be done. So the family, when they were talking to the contractor, they needed a quick way of calculating how much all of this work might cost them. That way they could decide if they wanted to continue the conversation or not. However, these numbers are pretty large. There's a lot of digits here. Even if we know that we have to add, how much are we adding? Today, our objective is to estimate a sum or difference by rounding to the nearest thousand. When we use rounding, it can help us to quickly calculate how much something might cost us. What is a sum? The sum is the answer whenever you add numbers together. The difference is the answer whenever you subtract numbers from each other. And to review, when we are rounding, we are looking at the hundreds place if we are rounding to the nearest thousand. For this number, 19,500, 5 is in the hundreds place. If we look at a number line with 19,000 at the low end and 20,000 at the high end, 19,500 is right in the middle. If 19,500 is exactly halfway between 19,000 and 20,000, then it's going to be rounded to the nearest thousand, which is 20,000. So let's look at that table again. Here we see that for bookshelves, it will cost $3,840 per room. The family wants bookshelves in 2 rooms. So how will you find the cost for the bookshelves? Well, you might multiply $3,840 times 2, or maybe you thought to add these two numbers together. Another option is to round and estimate. You could round 3,840 to the nearest thousand, which would be 4,000. Add those two together, and you'll get 8,000. It's not exact, but it's close. So we are going to estimate some sums and differences by rounding to the nearest thousand. Here are our first numbers, 7,192 plus 1,642. Here's my visual aid, a number line. Here's my number, 7,192. I can see that this is less than halfway. If I look at the 1 in the hundreds place, that also tells me I need to round down. So I will round down to 7,000. My next number, 1,642, is more than halfway. The 6 in the hundreds place also tells me that I need to round up. So I will round this number to 2,000. 7,000 plus 2,000, that equals 9,000. It's not exactly my sum, but it's close enough to give me an idea. Let's do a difference. Instead of saying 5,701, I can round this number. I'm going to round it up because there's a 7 in the hundreds place. Instead of 3,214, I can round down to 3,000, because there's a 2 in the hundreds place. 6,000 minus 3,000, that's 3,000. I know that my answer is somewhere around 3,000. Estimating sums and differences is especially helpful when you have a lot of numbers that you need to calculate. Instead of 6,290, I know I can round down to 6,000 because there's a 2 in the hundreds place. Instead of 5,500, I know that I will round up because 5 or more, I'll make it soar, so that's 6,000. And instead of 3,719, I know that I can round up to the nearest thousand, which would be 4,000. 6,000 plus 6,000 plus 4,000, well, I know 6 and 4 make a 10, so that's 10,000 plus 6. My answer is 16,000. Another way to use estimating and rounding to find a ballpark answer is to do front-end estimating and to adjust my answer. Here I have three numbers: 4,615, 2,537, 1,828. I'm going to be estimating the sum, which means I'm going to be adding. So first, I'm going to add the values of the leading digits, and then I'm going to estimate the sum of what is left over to the nearest thousand. I'll show you what that looks like. My first step is to add the values of the leading digits. Here are my leading digits: 4, 2, and 1. So the value of that 4 is 4,000. The value of this 2 is 2,000. And the value of this 1 is 1,000. So I'm not rounding here. I'm just getting the value of my leading digits. 4,000 plus 2,000 plus 1,000, well, that's 6,000. All right, so now I'm going to circle this number, and I'll write it right here, 6,000. Then, estimate the sum of what is left over to the nearest thousand. So here's what's left over: 615, 537, 828. I'm going to do the same thing. Instead of 615, I'm going to just look at the leading digit, that's a 6, in the hundreds place, so I know that the value is 600. Instead of 537, for my second number, I'm going to look at the first digit, that's a 5, in the hundreds place, so that is 500. And then in my last number, I had 828. So instead of 828, I'll look at that 8 in the hundreds place and know the value is 800. Now I can add these numbers together. Let's see here. Can I make any strategies? Well, 6 plus 5 is 11, plus 8, that's 19. So I know that my number is 1900s, or 1,900. So I did the first part. I found the sum of the leftovers, but now I need to round it to the nearest thousand. So 1,900 rounded to the nearest thousand. I see that there is a 9 in the hundreds place, so that tells me I need to round up. So this number is going to round to 2,000. I'm going to circle that, and I can write it here. After I have these numbers, then I can add them together, and that's going to give me my estimate. So 6,000 plus 2,000, that equals 8,000. So my estimated answer is 8,000. How close is this estimated answer of 8,000? Well, we can add up these actual numbers and see how close we got. So I had 4,615, I had 2,537, and then I had 1,828. So if I'm adding these, I start in the ones place. Any strategies? Oh, I see 5 and 7 I know makes it 12. So I have a 10 already, but then, so that's 12 plus 8. Oh, that's 20. So that's the same as saying 2 10s. So now I know that 2 and 3 makes a 5 plus 3, so that's 8. And then in my hundreds place, I have a 6 and a 5. That makes an 11. Plus 8, so that's 19 hundredths. So that's the same as me doing a 9 here and carrying over that 1,000. Now I have a 1, and I have a 4, which makes 5. Plus this 3, so that's 8. So my actual answer was 8,980. These numbers are pretty close. This is a good way to find a ballpark estimation. Here's my actual answer if I add all those numbers together. Here's my estimated answer if I use front-end estimating. So now let's see what happens if I round to the nearest 1,000 and then get a sum. Instead of 4,615, 2,537, or 1,828, I'm going to round. So I'm going to say that this rounds to the nearest 1,000, which would be 5,000. 2,537 will round up to 3,000. And 1,828 is going to round up to 2,000. So I can add these together. I have 5,000 plus 3,000 plus 2,000. Well, I know 3 and 2 makes a 5 plus 5. Ooh, so my answer here is 10,000. This is my answer if I round each number to the nearest 1,000 and then add. So I have 8,000, I have 10,000, and then my actual answer of 8,980. So it looks like front-end estimating is going to be a better choice if I need to find a closer answer. Let's try front-end estimating one more time, but this time we're finding the difference. If we are finding the difference, then that means that we are subtracting. So we are subtracting these two numbers. My first step is I need to look at the leading digit, that's the 5 and the 2, and find their value. The value of that 5 is 5,000. The value of that 2 is 2,000. So my answer for the first part is 3,000. I'll circle this so that I can remember it later. Now for my second step. I look at the leftover and I find the difference here. So my first leftover is 134. Instead of 134, I'm looking at the leading digit, which is a 1 in the hundreds place, so I know the value is 100. Instead of 918, I look at the 9 in the hundreds place, and I know the value is 900. So now I need to find the difference here. The difference between these numbers, it might help if I flipped it over so that it actually says 900 minus 100. The difference here is going to be 800. Then, after I find my difference, I need to round to the nearest 1,000. And so 800 rounded to the nearest 1,000 is going to round up to 1,000. I'm finding the difference, so I need to adjust. So I'm going to do 3,000 minus 1,000. And so my answer is going to be 2,000. But now we can try checking our actual difference and see how close we got. So 5,134 minus 2,918. Well, 4 minus 8, golly, I already have to regroup. So I'm going to borrow a 10 and bring it over here. So instead, I'm going to say that this is 14 minus 8, 6. 2 minus 1 is 1. And then, oh gosh, 110 minus 9 tenths, I have to regroup again. So I'm going to borrow 1,000, and I'm going to say that now this is only 4,000. And instead of just 100, I'm going to say that I have 11 of them. So now I can do 11 minus 9 is 2 hundredths. And then 4 minus 2,000s is going to be 2,000s. So here is my actual difference. If I subtract those numbers, my estimating number of 2,000 is pretty close to my actual difference of 2,216. So depending on which way you found easier, you might want to try estimating using front-end estimating, where we take the value of the first digit and then we find the sum of the leftover and we round in order to find our estimated answer.